Good day everyone. So we will discuss further the Japanese literature, and now we will tackle The Madman on the Roof by Kikuchi Kan, a significant work within the context of the Shingeki movement or new theater in Japan. Written during the early 20th century, Kikuchi's play addresses themes of social alienation and individual madness, reflecting the growing influence of Western realism and Japanese theater. And by examining both the play and its connection to Shingeki, we can better understand how this movement challenged traditional theoretical norms and gave rise to more socially conscious, psychologically driven performances. Now, in author's background, Kikuchi Kan, year 1888 to 1948. He was born in Yokohama, Japan, and studied law at Tokyo Imperial University but developed a passion for literature and theater. Literary career became a leading figure in the Shingeki modern Japanese theater movement, which sought to modernize Japanese drama using Western techniques. Wrote novels, plays, and essays exploring psychological themes and human nature. Shingeki movement. Shingeki emerged in the early 20th century, focusing on realism and psychological depth. Kikuchi Kan's plays such as The Madman in the Roof, Yani no Oen no Kyohen are considered central to this movement. His notable works, The Madman on the Roof or The Yani no Oen no Kyohen in 1928, a psychological drama exploring madness and existential dilemmas. The Wife of the Secretary, Bushin no Chuma, in 1932, and The Penitent, Sensuku, in 1936. Now, his legacy. Kikuchi Kan's impact on Japanese theater is still felt until today. His works continue to be studied for their exploration of modern psychological themes and social issues. Death. Kikuchi Kan passed away in 1948, but his contributions to Japanese literature and theater remain significant. And now, let's talk about the background of the work of The Madman on the Roof. Setting, a coastal village with a clear view of the sea during a sunny day. Plot context, the family is struggling with Yoshitaro's mental instability. They consider spiritual help, which leads to a conflict over how to address his condition. The priestess claims to be able to cure him, but is challenged by Suehiro. Suehiro is Yoshitaro's younger brother, who believes his brother's behavior is harmless and natural for him. Origin. Written in 1915 by Kikuchi Kan, a prominent Japanese playwright and critic. Part of the Shingeki movement or the New Theater, which aimed to modernize Japanese theater and introduce Western-style realism. The play was first performed in 1916 in Japan. Context, this play reflects themes of mental illness, societal expectations, and family dynamics in early 20th century in Japan. The play is a critical examination of societal treatment of those who do not conform to normal behavior standards. It critiques the ways in which mental illness is misunderstood, blending elements of humor and tragedy. Characterization. Yoshitaro, the elder son of the family, mentally unstable, often climbed to high places and believing in spiritual visions. Gisuke, the father whom concerned about Yoshitaro's behavior and well-being. Kinji, a servant who tries to help control Yoshitaro's dangerous behavior. Tosako, a behavior who introduces the family to the priestess. Next is the priestess, a woman claiming to be inspired by the god Kumpira, who attempts to exorcise a supposed fox spirit from Yoshitaro. Suehiro, the younger, more rational son who defends Yoshitaro and criticizes the priestess. Lastly, Uyushi, the mother who is supportive of the family's efforts through a skeptical about the priestess. I will discuss briefly the 10 main events. 1. Yoshitaro is on the roof. The elder son of the family, Yoshitaro, is sitting on the roof, gazing at the sea, much to his family's concern. 2. Gisuke orders Yoshitaro to come down. Gisuke, the father, fears Yoshitaro will get a sunstroke and calls for him to come down from the roof. 3. The family's attempts to bring him down. Kiji, a servant, tries to coax Yoshitaro down, but Yoshitaro resists, claiming he is in good communication with a god. 4. The family's attempts to bring him down. Kiji, a servant, tries to coax Yoshitaro down, but Yoshitaro resists, claiming he is in good communication with God. Next, Gisuke blames a monkey spirit. Gisuke speculates that Yoshitaro's behavior is due to a monkey spirit based on his son's uncanny climbing ability. Because in the past, what happened there are a lot of monkeys in the islands where Gisuke felt intimidated about it. And what he did, he killed all monkey that he will see, and that is the reason why he blamed the monkey spirit. Next is neighbor Tosako brings up the priestess. Tosako, a neighbor, suggests they consult a priestess who can pray to the god Kumpirat to cure Yoshitaro, but what happened on bringing the priestess into their house was terrible. Next, Yoshitaro's refusal to come down. Yoshitaro resists coming down from the roof even after the family insists, claiming that he sees divine visions. Because of his mental disability, he says that he can see gods, and he even spoke to them. Next, the priestess performs a ritual. The priestess arrives and claims Yoshitaro is possessed by a fox spirit. She performs a ritual to exorcise the spirit. However, just like what I said, it resulted into a terrible situation because this priestess was criticized by the younger brother of Yoshitaro that it is a false and just pretending to be a good priestess because Suehiro believed that this priestess does not know about anything and cannot cure his older brother. And what happened there is that they even have physical physical they they have physical contact with each other where Yoshitaro tried to whip away the priestess from his older brother. Next is Suehiro's objection to the priestess. Yoshitaro's younger brother Suehiro argues with the priestess, rejecting his supernatural claims and stating that Yoshitaro is happy as he is. This time is Suehiro justify his argument that his brother is not doing anything, not harming anyone. So he believes that it was better to be like that because he didn't even harm anybody. So it's better to be to have that kind of situation where he is happy. And Suehiro also states here that his older brother does not have the capabilities if he became normal. He didn't even know how to write or to read. So it would be a terrible situation for him to be normal in that age where Yoshitaro is a bit older, where Yoshitaro is 24, and that is something something would have a problem to Yoshitaro. Next, we have Yoshitaro returns to the roof. Despite the failed exorcism, Yoshitaro climbs back on the roof where he continues to experience his visions while his family watches with mixed emotions. Next, the figure of speech. Metaphor. The priest of the god Compera is dancing in the clouds. Yoshitaro imagines the priest in a mystical divine form. Next is the personification. The angels are beckoning to me. Yoshitaro attributes human-like qualities to angels, portraying a spiritual connection. Next is the hyperbole. You're already crippled and insane. Gisuke exaggerates Yoshitaro's condition, emphasizing his concern. By using the words crippled and insane, it highlights the exaggeration of Yoshitaro's condition, which make it a hyperbole. Irony. The priestess claims to be inspired by Kumpira, yet her actions appear fraudulent and far from divine, which make its irony. She's stating that she is inspired by Kumpira, but her action does not shows at all. Next is the denotation versus connotation. In denotation, the word sunstroke refers to the literary condition caused by prolonged exposure to the sun, and the connotation of the word sunstroke in the story of the madman on the roof. The sunstroke there connotes a vulnerability, danger, or even a sense of fate or helplessness, because they viewed, or people there viewed Ushitaro having a sunstroke or having no hope or being hopeless at all because of his conditions. Next word for the denotation versus connotation is the word priestess. Priestess refers to a woman of religious authority, specifically in the context of Kumpira worship. And in the context, or the priestess there refers, or the connotation in the story, the priestess connotes mysticism, spiritual power, but also deception in this case, because the actions of priestess, like exorcisms, those are the actions or the practices of the Kumpira worship or the religion of Kumpira. However, it was a deception because it's not true at all. She exaggerated everything. Next one is the traditional beliefs. The belief in spirits such as the Fox spirit and Kumbera reflects cultural views and supernatural forces prevalent in Japanese folklore. They shows how spiritual beliefs shape people's understanding of mental illness. And also in the context of the Philippines, where traditional beliefs are strong and rich in our country, where our traditional beliefs, we are very connected with that. We practice it in everyday in our living. It's just like in what happened also in the Japanese literature. Is the religious practices, the invocation of gods and the rituals of healing such as the use of smoke and pine needles, highlighting the role of traditional healing practices and shamanistic rituals in rural communities. In the context of the Philippines as well, though we don't be, we some of us, or most of the Filipinos does not believe in many gods, only in one God, which is Jesus Christ. However, our actions and rituals, we are also connected with it, and our ancestors, where their beliefs are inherited to us. So that's why it's the same, and I feel like connected with the Japanese one and this story particularly. Next is the family and social expectations. There is pressure for Yoshitaro to conform to societal norms of normalcy, reflecting the cultural value placed on conformity and productivity. Though what happened in the story, Yoshitaro are not aware of the pressure that he is getting because of his mental disability or retirement. Um, we seen it as Yoshitaro being pressured because we tend to see it as a normal people, where his parents really want him to heal from his mental conditions, which is a negative one also in our generation, to pressure anything, especially the youth one. Next are the striking lines that present in the story. The first one, "You're already crippled and insane." This line encapsulates Gisuke's harsh view of Yoshitaro's condition and his desperation. And we can also connect this one to the real world situation, where people tend to say things what they really wanted to say, without thinking that they could harm other people's feeling, and that is, you know, one of the toxic mindset that this generation had, and they tend to see it as slay, or the Gen Z words that is that yeah, slay or cool, which is not. And I also believe that or we should be very considerate in what things we are, what words comes out in our mouth. If we could harsh or uh um you know put any negativity just before you speak something, really we need to think of what could be the outcome of what we are saying. Then the next one is but your younger son, Suhairo, has a fine record at school. This line contrasts the two brothers, emphasizing the family's desire for one child to conform to societal expectations. This is one of the most prevailing, and personally I hate so much, because growing up I'm always been compared to my siblings, which I don't like. Really, really, I don't like. You know, in small things in things that I really wanted to achieve. I'm not saying that I don't get enough attention, but being compared to your siblings and their achievements is just a toxic mindset, and I really don't like that kind of attitude personally. Yeah. Next, we do have smoke won't cure him. People will laugh at you if they hear you've been trying to drive out a fox. So here's reaction critiques both the traditional methods and society's perception of Ishitaro's behavior. It always been the society. Next, but wouldn't it be foolish to become normal merely to suffer? This line, spoken by Suhairo, challenges the idea that Ishitaro, despite his madness, might be better off conforming to what society deems as normal, because people tend to see things differently. So if Ishitaro is happy with that condition, and it's okay if we didn't harm anything, so let be it you know Next is the implication of the title. The title, The Madman, is both literal and metaphorical. It refers to Ishitaro's mental state, but it also speaks to the societal judgment placed upon him. His madness, though real, represents a deviation from societal norms, and this deviation creates conflict with his family and the community. The title critiques how society deals with those who are different or mentally ill. Next are the themes that are present to the story. First one, the societal expectation of normal behavior often clash with the reality of one's mental state, where what is deemed madness by some can be source of happiness in one's own world. So just like what I said, we see things differently, and if others were very comfortable of the situation that they had, or anything that they are doing in their life, we are out of that. We can't do anything about that, because it's their life, not ours. So let them be what they really wanted to be. Next, the conflict between traditional superstitions and modern understandings of mental illness highlights the cultural struggle between old beliefs and new ways of thinking. This is also very prevalent, especially in the urban area in the Philippines, where the battle between pahilot versus hospital, and people maybe because lack of financial capacities, but people tend more to believe on pahilot rather than hospital, and the time that they will go to hospital, and those times are very critical of the life of the patient. So that is something we need to think about, and be considerate at all times, because that's what matters most.